The first time I actually noticed pleasure in my yoni, I was outdoors playing with my neighbor friend.
I usually sneaked into the bathroom.
Nice.
So that my mother wouldn't notice.
We wanted to play cowboys. Yeah, and when I was riding then this horse of mine, I noticed like something is happening.
It was just like going to the stars because it's so fucking powerful.
My name is Kim Ek. I'm an artist, photographer, and human behaviorist. And I'm the creator of Be a Pussy, a movement that is dedicated to share and spread awareness, inspiration, and the know-hows for the journey of reconnecting and reclaiming our pussies. Many of my projects are a combination of art and photography and a women's gathering, a sister circle, where women come together and they share life experience, their journeys, their stories. So through my art and my projects, I've had opportunity, which is blissful, to hear now hundreds of women and their stories and journeys. And what I have learned from that is that we all have a unique story, unique experience, but it's very clear that as women, we are swimming in the same waters, or we're all in the same boat. We are not alone in the things that we are meeting in our lives. And it is its own medicine to have that experience, to feel when we sit in a circle and we share, to feel that I'm not alone. And I wish that I could bring you hundreds of women's stories that I've had in my workshops and circles and projects. Unfortunately, it's not practical, but I have asked a handful of women that had the courage to come in front of my camera and share their life story with you. And I will also share some of mine. Like just in the tribal times, we were storytellers, and we knew that sharing stories is how wisdom and awareness and even healing could take place. Wisdom was passed on from one woman to the next. That's how generation after generation after generation we learned about what it is to be born a woman. Much of that has been lost, unfortunately, but we can start our own version of this now because it all lives within us. So we know how to do it. We can mend broken sisterhood wounds, and we can start sharing. So by weaving all these stories together, let's now look at the 5 biggest reasons why we have this connection to our yoni in the first place.
I have never really like named that part, the thing down here.
It was a blind spot. And even the word that was in my family, it was hardly ever used, but when my parents had to say something, in Swedish it's framskärt, it's like before bum.
My mother tried when I was 16 to have the talk, but I was no, I'm going to talk to my friends, keep away. So she never tried again.
It's like a part that I haven't put my focus on. Think about it now, I've been looking at almost every other part, like my bum, my feet, my knees, my nipples, my breasts. It's like, no, it didn't stop. My eyes don't stop at that part.
I saw those pictures at home because my father had like calendars on his wall. It made me confused with, like, she could be all naked there and she could be beautiful, but I was not existing somehow. And it was like, I always felt like she's dirty or she's shameful, and it was complicated.
And in my family there was a lot of shame and a lot of control of me as a woman or as a girl then. So I had like a almost like a very shameful and basically non-existent relationship to my yoni.
I remember when I started my Glitter Yoni project, I was like confused, like who would want to be part of such a crazy project? So the first women who participated was my friends, and we sat in front of each other and just looked at each other's pussies. We became almost like 7 or 8 or something of just like, oh, wow, you look like this, and like mine look like this. Oh, there's a little difference there. And it was so sweet and innocent, and I felt like it was almost something that it felt like I should have had earlier in my life, but I didn't.
Once I told her, or I asked her, did you ever look at your yoni? And she's like, no. And she's over 80 years old. She had never, and she has not a name for her yoni. She's brought up with 2 sisters and a mother, and they never ever spoke about their yoni. Not a word. And I said, do it. Please do it. Take a mirror. Then it took, I think, 2 weeks. And then she said, Lotta, do you know what I did? I looked at her. And do you know what? I thought it would be ugly, like on a really old woman. But I thought it was beautiful. It took 8 years, but she fucking gave herself that beauty.
We don't know our pussies enough. And we also kind of don't know that we don't know. We don't know our yoni's full anatomy, and we don't know where there is pleasure potential. And obviously this is not our fault. We are almost like victims to this circumstance of this culture, right? Not only was sex education in school flawed or, non-existent, for most of us, and somehow porn has become our replacement for sex ed. That's basically the only place we can go as teenagers to find out things about sex. How bad is that? If we want to experience something else, something more, we cannot expect to get that if we keep on doing the same thing. We need to go on a new adventure, a new exploration. We can learn, we can study, we can read and educate ourselves about the anatomy of our yoni, where everything is and how it works, and then go home and explore, try things out and see how it feels, and find what your pussy likes. I think actually the best way to go is to become our own best lovers, and then we can be a good lover for someone else. But it starts with us knowing our pussy. A perfect place to do that is in my Be a Pussy course. So you can check that in the description below. There will be a whole chapter of learning about our yoni's anatomy. Everyone on this planet today have some level of shame in regards to their body, their pussy, or their sexuality. At some point along our life story, we have like small knots, experiences where we start to take on shame and associate shame to our body, pussy, or sexuality. Actually, the definition of shame is when we the feeling that something is fundamentally wrong with oneself. It's like an internal war, something that is part of us, but we make it bad, not wanted. Because sexual energy is life force energy. It's a creation energy. It's part of this life. It's not an experience that we can have. It is who we are. It's in our existence. But at some point, when we get out from the womb, we get the message that that's very natural sexual energy is bad, shameful, dirty. So we make something that is a natural part of us wrong, and that creates shame. So it could be really helpful and empowering to do what I'm calling mapping out your yoni's life story. And by the way, in my free product that I'm sharing, I will talk about it more in the end of the video, I have a questionnaire specifically for this. So you can do this at home as soon as you want. So now we can start looking at this, let's say, misunderstandings, and we can, start pulling them out like weed, from our garden, so that we can liberate ourselves and let our blossoming fully happen.
The first time I actually noticed pleasure in my yoni, I was outdoors playing with my neighbor friend.
I usually sneaked into the bathroom
Nice.
so that my mother wouldn't notice.
Somehow started to rub against the pillow, and it was like the most incredible feeling ever.
We wanted to play cowboys, and when I was riding then this horse of mine, I noticed like something is happening in a part of my body that I didn't recognize.
Like a poof. It was not like it was long. It was like, oh, what's this? And poof. So it was like short but intense.
I remember that I used things like my teddy bears and stuff to like rub against. That's where the shame also came, because I loved my teddy bears. And using them felt like I was using them, you know, using them. So I often, like afterwards, I apologized.
Like I did it, and afterwards I just forget it, or liksom felt it was something bad. And also that feeling of that lust was wrong and something to be ashamed of.
My mom came in.
I got caught by my mother during that orgasm.
It's like a wave of like shame,
I was so ashamed. It was like,
and like I've done something bad, and like, oof, just wanted to crawl out of my own skin, basically.
she asked me, "What are you doing?" And then she went out. And then we didn't talk about it. So that's when it's actually like you've been done something wrong, but in silence.
So the first time I had sex, we were together for a long time, and we planned it, and we bought condoms, and it was very nice. But I came immediately, and then actually I got bored. We're not done yet, so what am I waiting for? So I almost fell asleep. I hope he's not watching this. There was no shame around sex for me at that time. It started later. I started becoming wild. It's like going out and party almost every weekend. And it was really, really fun. It was like the alcohol made me feel that I could be myself. But it also fucked up my brain, because the judgment disappeared, and I started to have sex in when I was drunk. And I wasn't brave enough to ask for having sex with someone I liked when I was sober.
Yeah, I was drunk, so I only have like I only have certain parts of memory. I don't know if it's due to the alcohol or due to the fact that it was traumatic for me.
I was drunk out somewhere and on a club, on a bathroom against the toilet, or just not a pleasant feeling.
And kind of next thing I know, I'm naked and he's like trying to enter me, and I don't understand what's going on. I'm like, really, the feeling I have is just like, what is happening? What is he doing? Like something like this.
I think I repeated the event like a couple of times. So I was not taking control or like choosing, or it was just still that getting drunk, and someone came along. That just like more shame on me. I think that was a feeling afterwards.
I remember my dad picked me up in a car actually after this party, and I was like sobering up a little bit, and I just felt like it's even hard to tap into now. It's just like I fucked up. Yeah, disappointed myself, like a lot of shame. Like it was all my fault in my system, you know. Like I was too drunk, I didn't say no, I should have stopped, I should have walked out, like anything, but I didn't. So it was all my fault, and therefore I felt a lot of shame.
People started to judge me for being a slut, for being the one who's, everybody could sleep with Jessica. And it even started rumors that if I went home from the pub and next morning my friend said, oh, someone said you walked home with last night. I was like, no, I walked home. It was like, oh, this is my label. Yeah. This is my label. She's the one. And I was like, well, I didn't. And yeah, you did. And I was like, no, I did not. So that was when I became ashamed of me having sex.
When we came to the penetration, I didn't feel anything. That was so strange for me. I'm like, is it in me or... But I remember like, okay, now my virginity is gone, but I didn't feel it. And I expected it to hurt. Because I heard from other friends, like, the first time is the worst. It's so painful and,
So I had a lot of like infections that I didn't know what it was from a young age, and I couldn't use a tampon, and it hurts when something is put in and I don't know what it is. I had so much lust and love and pleasure in my body, but at the same time it was hurting, and I couldn't cope with that. It was really hard.
Sometimes I just walked home and felt ashamed because I felt used, and that I allowed myself to do that again. Why did I do that? I wasn't even interested in him. It's like I fell into a trap. It was like a circle, like going round and round and round, and I was just falling into a pattern that I really didn't like, but it was like autopilot. I think that's where the numbness started. So from there it feels like I lost contact with her, with my pussy, with my yoni.
I didn't say no. My mouth never said no, and I did it. And I couldn't understand afterwards why I never felt happy. I couldn't feel anything in her.
And I sought help when I was 21, and then I got the diagnosis vulvodynia. It's different for everyone. For some it's just pain when it's about sex, and for me it's both. Pain, like in the opening of the vagina, there is my pain, and a lot of muscle cramps also. The research isn't where it's supposed to be, but what it says is that it can come from like for me a lot of like infections, and maybe you treat it the wrong way and you get like sensitive from that, or you have a lot of sex that isn't on your terms, that isn't consensual, or you get assaulted or stuff like that, and it becomes a trauma in the body. And I mean, our body, there's so much stores in our bodies, and our bodies remember stuff. So it's really hard to like claim your body and your yoni, and at the same time it's hurting.
In those relationships, I barely remember the sex. And let me clarify, it's not because these were bad moments or like, I don't know, rough or violent. I know that the way that I had sex was quite or very vanilla, and that was basically the little frame that I felt safe to explore in and be in. But I think not remembering it is an indication of being quite disconnected.
I think the biggest pain is that I didn't listen to her. I did things that is not necessarily like I did things that someone else could see from outside was violent, but it was violent to myself, violent to her, violent to my yoni. That's why she did like that. That's why she closed down.
And I slept over, and his friends slept over there too, so we were sleeping in the same bed, 3 of us. I woke up a few hours later, not too many, because I was going to work early next day, by him coming inside of me, like in his orgasm. So I woke up in like shock. I couldn't figure out how I couldn't feel his dick inside of me before. I'm like, I should have noticed this because I'm not drunk, or like I was quite conscious. He text messaged me like, I hope it was fine for you too. And like just that message in itself like, what? Because I wasn't awake, or I wasn't actually in consent of this. So I didn't understand if this was rape, or I couldn't like, but I felt rape. I felt used, at least. So that changed my relationship with my body and my sexuality for many years.
How are you doing? Do you recognize yourself in some of these stories? Our stories and experiences are so important. It's so important to share them. And I know some of them are like heavy, and yeah, there is a lot of pain here. And I'm not just sharing it because it's important and they need to be seen and heard, these stories, but also because I want us all to feel that we are not alone in our experiences. Yes, we are all having our unique life journey. Our yoni's journey is unique to her, but the themes are the same. We are all in the same boat, and that can give medicine and strength and support. If you're experiencing pain or numbness or both in your yoni, I want you to know that nothing is wrong with your yoni. She is not broken or destroyed or anything like that. It is simply the result of what she has been through. I want to invite you to almost switch it around and see that what your yoni is experiencing right now is the natural, logical result of what she has been through. It's not your yoni that is broken, it's a healing journey that is awaiting.
I'm so grateful that I had the courage, because it's courage to start to feel her again, because, you know, it's like she's been numb since I started to not listen. And I've been exploring now to really, really listen to her. She knows, but sometimes I don't listen to what she knows. So it's a practice.
I think it was after I was 40 where I really looked at the whole pattern, to take the whole story, or as much as the story from what I had experienced, and look at that. And in a very, very soft way start to talk to her and look at her again. I recognize her voice in another way, also the voice that comes afterwards if I didn't listen to her. And she said, hello, hello, hello. I'm here for you. I'm still here, still here, still here.
I was on a workshop where it was yoni healing, and that really, so every time I talk about it, it's like 48 years old, and first time I really feel her, like she's alive. She's magic. She's so. It's like 48 years until I really feel who she is. And it's amazing. It was just like going to the stars and feeling the power that's in this place. And I understand why it's suppressed. Because it's so fucking powerful.
For me, it is like it's like listening to the voice of God, or the goddess.
Yeah. Our own unique portal to source, to spirit, to God, to goddess, whatever you want to call it. But can you imagine? It sits right here, inside of us. It's our own unique intelligence that connects us to the divine. Can you imagine a world where every woman is tapped into this portal, where she has a direct link to the divine in her. Chill, it gives me chills just thinking about this. That's the world that I want to see, and that's the world I want to live in. So this is why I have created a completely free starting kit for anyone who wishes to start and embark on this journey of reconnecting to that pussy oracle. It basically contains a video with some hands-on tips and tricks that you can apply at home. And I'm also sharing this questionnaire to map out your yoni's life story, which is super helpful and powerful to detect where shame has entered and pluck those weeds out of your garden, right? And also a guided yoni meditation. All of that for free, so go and check it out and start this new page with your yoni today. And if you feel like you're ready to embark on this journey of reconnecting and reclaiming your pussy, I invite you to check out my course, Be a Pussy. In there, I have gathered everything I wish that I had many years ago when I started my journey. We are going to go through yoni anatomy, educating ourselves about our yoni to fully know everything that's going on in there, how and where we can stimulate to experience pleasure potential, and what is the different orgasms, and how to include our whole body to experience different types of orgasms and pleasure. And we're also going to go through the armor to move from numbness into the pleasure and openness. And we're also going to learn about the moon cycle, the different phases, and how to tap into our cyclical way of living as women. It's going to be many different videos and many different home practices for you to do at home. It's rich and full and potent and amazing and juicy and all of the good stuff. So I really hope to see you in there. If this video and theme touches you and inspires you, please share it with anyone who you think might benefit from it. Basically anyone with a yoni, I think. So we can slowly move into my dream, which is that every girl and woman on this planet is connected to their pussy. That we are starting to be a pussy.